Welcome to the UFO and Time Travel Radio Show. This is your host, Renato, and on the line I have Jeremiah Greer, the owner and editor-in-chief of Mysteries Magazine. Thank you for being on the show, Jeremiah.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate you having me.
So, I was thinking we could just start off by letting you describe your magazine in your own words and what types of, stories that you guys write.
Okay. Well, the magazine has actually been around for 6-7 years, I think. We took it over last year, so we put out 2 issues under us. But the name fits pretty well, Mysteries Magazine. Now, this isn't like your Sherlock Holmes type of mysteries. It's a little bit of everything, of the unknown. We cover cryptozoology, ufology, parapsychology, unsolved murders and crimes, to just the downright strange and unusual. It's very, very broad, and we like to talk about everything because kind of our opinion is, well, we're exploring life and trying to figure out some of the answers to the mysteries of life. So, in regards to that, you have to look into everything because, to me, life is everything. It's the planet we're on, the planets that surround us, the universe. Why we get up in the morning and crave a cup of coffee. So it's all kind of all kind of mysterious. So we like to cover it all.
That sounds great. Well, I checked out the website and I definitely see that that's pretty much you described it much better than I would. That's why I let you do it. but yeah, and me as well. And that's your magazine's definitely my type of magazine because it covers all the unknown and the I guess the avoided somewhat. Only now, really, it seems like people are more and more getting interested in everything,
Yeah,
and everything's starting to become mainstream, and I think it's great.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful, and of course we got television to thank for that. We have to be honest here. People like TAPS and, the Ghost Hunters, Monster Quest, all that stuff really brought that into the mainstream where, 10, 15 years ago, you were looked at as, a crackpot if you talked about this stuff. And, especially in your work, place of business or, outside of your own circle of friends, which even in some cases they'll think you're a crackpot. But, there's the pros and cons of television, and that's one of the pros. They have brought this mainstream. It is a lot more comfortable to talk about, and it seems, people are really getting into exploring these possibilities that are out there and that are endless, in my opinion.
Absolutely, I agree. And have you? I gotta say this. This is all kind of short notice for me, but have you done what kind of pursuit should I say? Are you taking towards? I guess like the UFO phenomenon.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. Definitely, because your show deals a lot with UFO and time travel. UFO is actually kind of, in a way, it was one of the ones that sparked my interest in the unusual. Now, I had experiences myself when I was younger, but that kind of just sat quiet for a while, and then I seen what I would call a UFO, and that kind of brought it all back up. Now, this is about when I was 15, 16 years old. I'm 32 now. I don't mind telling my age. I'm 32, so I'm young. So it's about 16 years ago, and for me, let me just say it like this. I'm a believer in possibilities. I believe almost anything is possible, if not everything. It just, hey, it may be a parallel universe where, fire-breathing dragons exist. Who knows? But, in terms of...
I gotta say I agree. You never know. Anything is possible.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't know what's all out there. Let's be honest with ourselves. But, yeah, in terms of UFOs, again, we have to look at the possibilities. Could it be... some type of humanoid or creature from another planet, or, even a parallel universe. Who knows? Time travel. I think, saying this is a possible time travel phenomenon, it can fit as well. We actually ran an article in this past issue of Mysteries Magazine that kind of tackled that question. Well, I won't say tackled it, but kind of put it on the table. Said, let's look at it. And you take into consideration the typical descriptions of aliens. They're very humanoid for the most part. Well, what if that is a very involved? I mean, now we're mainly talking like grays. What if that's just a very evolved human that has time traveled? I mean, that's a possibility.
I can agree with that 100,000%.
Yeah, and see, I even take it as far to say, well, even it being a visitor from another planet and time travel, well, those possibly could even coexist.
It's nuts. I mean, I think I've read just about every contactee book from like the 50s on, like I guess like the Adamski era all the way up to now, and I think I don't want to say I'm jaded and I've seen it all, but I think I've seen quite a bit and read quite a bit, and they all kind of say the same thing, that they're they can't just come, and we have to evolve, and I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't even know where I'm going with it.
I've been there, man.
It becomes so, like, there's so many things that start piling up that I'm just trying to find something in common with all the books that I read.
Right.
And just all the information I look at it, everything. To me, everything is a puzzle piece. And in the end, it forms the big picture,
Yeah, I agree with you. And we have to go out there and again, explore and research these possibilities and see what is the best fit. Where are the similarities between, reports of abductions, of sightings, the research that has been put into it. There's got to be some type of pattern, some type of similarity that's running through there.
Right, and I guess one thing that they do all have in common is that they've conquered, space and time travel. They all say that time, what we call time, is, they look at it in a completely different way, and all of those books say that when it comes to that. And then just the UFO sightings, and it's nuts because, also for reading all those books, they're saying there's dozens of different kinds, and I mean, all the black ops, they talk about the 57 different varieties of extraterrestrials that they have categorized, profiled.
Right. Yeah. Well, you even say, I mean, it's
nuts.
Yeah, I mean, it was wonderful when the mod released, their UFO documents. Because I went through them. The Ministry of Defense, when they started releasing.
Oh, right.
Yeah, their UFO docs. Well, if you go through them, I mean, they released just hundreds of them. Now, of course, now they cut that off, right? I think they said they weren't doing it anymore. But in through them, they had pages where they were categorizing UFOs. They have sketches, drawings, and it categorizes all these different kinds of UFOs. And I thought that was really neat to see. And again, coming from a government entity, these being released and seeing papers and documents that are very specific, and very detailed in what was described to them, and I'm sure some of it probably came from stuff that they had discovered themselves.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a free internet book. It's called The Hacker's Guide to UFOs, meaning, the mechanics of it. It's a technical kind of book. And basically, it's not a book that the guy's writing saying, here's how you build your own UFO. It's a book where the guy is basically focusing on all the different patents that are available in the library, or the patent applications.
Right.
I'm sorry. And There's like 20 of them. There's ones that have anti-gravity, magnetic propulsion. They're all, the patent application was put in like 30 years ago, but it was never approved. And it's just sitting there in limbo.
Right.
And the guy has a whole book of them, and it's pretty intense, you know. And it makes you think, wow. You know, I mean. Yeah,
it does. And, you know, I mean, it's, you know, one thing, especially for ufology, I would like to see it have kind of a, you know, to be revived, you know, like it was back in the 50s, 60s, you know, the golden age of ufology. You know, to get a lot of people really kind of back into. I mean, you know, I'm not saying there's only like 5 people out there, you know, researching UFOs. I'm sure we all can agree there's just hundreds and hundreds of them. But, you know, it was so much in the forefront in the 50s and 60s, and it's kind of fell to the wayside. Of course, ghosts have taken the highlight, or taken the center stage for now. But, you know, I mean, people that, yeah, and you know, that age, it was so much that was looked into it, and so much that was put out there. And, you know, you were talking about patents and stuff. I don't know if you ever heard of Otis T. Carr. Are you familiar with that name?
It does sound familiar, but I just have to,
no. Yeah,
well, the name sounds familiar, but I couldn't tell you. It sounds like a train.
Otis T. Carr was he was a regular guest on the Long John Nebel show. Are you there?
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay. Well, all right, I'll start over then.
I don't know what happened. I'm sorry.
It's Blog Talk Radio, right? I used to be on Blog Talk Radio for about a year and a half. I was on Blog Talk. So we got started. Yeah, you know, Otis T. Carr was a regular on Long John Nebel, which was basically a para-talk show that broadcast from the mid-50s up until about the mid-70s. Well, he came on there and, you know, said he had basically a prototype of a UFO that he had built. And he was trying to get Long John Nebel to come see this thing. But on top of that, he was asking for it was either $10 or $20 million to help fund this project to build this UFO. You know, that kind of tying into what you were talking about, patents and stuff, you know, being pending for designs for UFOs. And, you know, this goes way back. I mean, again, Otis T. Carr in the 1950s. You know, I know he was a regular in the late 50s on his show. You know, he said he had done it. You know, I don't know if Long John Nebel ever got the chance to, you know, go see the UFO, or if Otis T. Carr actually had one. But supposedly he had a lot of knowledge that didn't make sense to what he was saying behind the technology he was claiming to have.
Well, you know, if of course, you know, like any other human, if you're unfamiliar with something, you know, it's tough to describe. And to the people who are unfamiliar with what he was trying to describe, it was that much more mysterious, you know?
Yeah.
Or they just didn't want to listen. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that could be it, too.
But yeah, what other stuff is there that you cover in your magazine? You know, I'm so sorry I didn't see the time travel thing. I did open up both the articles, and I basically read the top articles.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said,
well,
you know, I didn't have much time. When I got home from work, I was like, all right.
This show was booked very short notice. I think we basically exchanged emails 5 hours ago. So well, you know, again, we cover everything. I mean, let's talk about issue 25, because one of the things I want to put out there, and this isn't just issue 25, but that's the one we just put out. We're offering the PDF version of it absolutely free. You don't even have to sign up. We don't even have to tell us your name. Just click on it, and it's yours. And this is the full version. This isn't just a preview. And, you know, this isn't a sloppy magazine. We take a lot of pride in our work, and we think that the quality is very high. It's laid out very nice. The articles are well done. But, you know, the cover story is The Skeleton Tree, which is about a body that was found inside the hollow of a tree. Now, this took place in the United Kingdom. And they have yet, you know, to figure out what happened to this female that they found the skeletal remains of what exactly is the story behind it? There was theories of witchcraft. There was theories of involving espionage. There was also just, it was just a murder. I mean, this was taking place, this took place around World War II. So, a very hectic time in world history, obviously. So, they've yet to figure out the story. But, you can read about some of the details, what they figured out, in that issue. We covered one, on Bigfoot. Our Crypto Safari column. We tackled the Bigfoot hair mystery, or I can't remember exactly what the title was. But it, where where people are finding all these strands of hairs and they're coming up, unidentified or unknown species, which is obviously going to happen because there's nothing to match it to. We don't have a Bigfoot, so if we were to find a hair and do a DNA analysis, it's not really going to come back, oh, well, that's a Sasquatch, because it compares it to other samples in a database. That's how DNA works. We also, when we talked about the ET, we called it ET or time traveler. Was it an extraterrestrial? Was it a being from another planet? Are we looking at possible time travel? We talked about the Forevertron, which is this sculpture this guy made out of pretty much just junk he had found. It also included like a NASA decontamination unit as part of this, and he made it to be a spaceship, and I think they call it Sculpture Park, which is all in his backyard, and it's this massive sculpture called the Forevertron, and it's amazing. And you look at the time that somebody had to put into that, and not just the time, but the creativity that went behind it too, and that's simply just amazing. We talk about archaeology in the magazine. We have a little bit of some strange news, like the 2-year-old that finally decided to quit smoking. True story. We had somebody tell us, is like, oh, I thought that things were true in this magazine. And we were like, well, they are. It's some kind of theory. And they were like, well, this story about the 2-year-old, that's not real. And we're like, yeah, that's real. That 2-year-old had been smoking for 18 months. So in other words, since he was 6 months old. And he decided he's going to... Yeah, exactly. And, this story's been ran all over the place. We're not the first ones to ever run this, but, he finally decided he was going to call it quits. I guess he decided it was good for his health. I don't know. But, stuff like that. I mean, we cover everything. We had an article in Demonology about, a lot of cases that demonologists are called on to end up being a medical issue. It's not a demon. It's not a case of a possession. It's a case of just a medical issue. And, so stuff like that. So we explore both sides. We explore the, okay, this is possibly real, or, well, here's an explanation that really isn't so paranormal after all. We try to be, be unbiased and kind of stand in the middle and present the stories from both sides, and see and let people. We want to make up our own minds about stuff, and that's how we try to present our stories and say, here it is. This is what we've collected, or this is what the author's collected in terms of his research and whatnot. We're going to present it to you. Now, ultimately, it's up to you to decide, okay, is Bigfoot real or not, or is that demonic possession a case of somebody just being schizophrenic, or something along those cases.
Now, do you think people are going to change, how can I say, do you think, this is simply stuff being sensationalized, or do you think this is one step towards the turn of humanity on Earth, where people are going to sort of evolve into the next level that so many people are predicting for 2012 and stuff?
Yeah, I think it depends on you got to get specific with it, I think. I think there are cases where things are, they're hyped up a lot.
Or maybe it's just maybe it might be for just individuals and not so much everybody. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. Because the unfortunate thing with no matter what within this field, ufology, parapsychology, cryptozoology, you're dealing with theories. It's all theories. There is nothing that is solid. And, that causes a problem.
Yeah. And I mean, there's no real big difference between a lot of them, as you were saying earlier. Like, for example, you got Bigfoot, and then you got those chupacabra things that, look at those things. They're like, they're scary.
Yeah, they are. I mean, there's a lot of scary stuff out there. And I've, now I can't say I've ever experienced anything within that I would call a cryptid or a crypto, anything that fell, under cryptozoology. I had a few UFO experiences, ghost experiences, spiritual experiences. I don't know what I would do if I came across a chupacabra or a Bigfoot. I think I could honestly deal with a ghost face-to-face with me a lot easier than I could, a Sasquatch or a Chupacabra or the Mothman or, something along those lines. Because at least a ghost, to really get to the bottom of it, in truth, a ghost is just, it's us. When we go out there hunting for ghosts or exploring to try to find a ghost, we're in essence, we're exploring ourselves. Because I think anybody who believes that ghosts exist also has the belief that, it's the spirit or soul or some kind of energy left over from someone who has physically passed away. Now, a chupacabra, a Bigfoot, no, most people don't believe that. They believe it as some creature wild out in the woods. Well, I don't go running out in the woods trying to find wild creatures because I do like to be safe and I like the comfort of my home and I don't want to be ripped apart in the middle of the night. So, I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I'd do if I come across something like that. I mean, I would probably scream like a little girl, and I would try to take some pictures before I ran because, that is something I hate to see more than anything else is you get these groups or you get these individuals and they go out, ghost hunting or Bigfoot hunting, and they come across something, and the first thing they do is tuck their tail and run. And it's like, now, why are you there? Isn't that what you were there for? Now you're going to miss any potential evidence, video, photographs, or anything because you just ran even though you were there. That's why you were there. So, I will at least try to snap a few pictures and stuff before I run.
Well, yeah, for me it all depends. For me it might just be instant instinct to just go, like just drop, just, and just maybe shout out if I'm with people, just say, go.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've never experienced anything like that, so I can't say how I'd really, truly react because, I mean, come on, you come face-to-face with the Bigfoot, that's got to be terrifying.
Jeez.
Yeah,
that's to me, that's as bad as a bear, as a wild bear.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, in essence, we're you're kind of talking about the same size, that same, intimidation that's going to come behind it. It would be amazing to see. It would be amazing to see, but it would be just really frightening all at the same time. And I don't know if I can handle those two emotions just running around inside of me at the same time.
Yeah. Well, there's plenty of wild things out there, and I guess mysterious. There's so many things that are either misinterpreted or untranslatable, or just just plain weird.
Yeah, it is.
There's so many. There must be an endless list of things.
And I think the list will just keep continuing to grow, and I hope it does. I mean, if you really think about it, if we understood and knew everything, how boring would life be? God, we'd just sit around and just twiddle our thumbs because there wouldn't be nothing out there new, nothing adventurous, nothing exciting. I mean, even what some people may seem just, mundane and everyday thing is exciting to someone, like, their job. Some people find it very exciting to go to their job every day, and part of that is the learning process. But what if we did know it all? What would be the point?
Creation. Well, I would think just more creation, more creative freedom.
I think more creative freedom. Yeah, well, I agree with you, but I think if we knew everything, then you're almost going to dilute that creativity because there's nothing to really create because we already know it. We already know it exists. We already know the truth behind it. We already know that it's a reality or it's not. So, you end up kind of lacking in the creative part because some of that's what our creativity feeds off of is, some of that unknown. I mean, Mysteries Magazine.
Oh, well, yeah.
We go about the layout.
I think
the fifth article.
Yeah. Well, I think even if we live forever, life would be a learning experience all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
I can agree with that.
Right.
But yeah, hey, you're right. Well, you know what? What is basically the strangest or craziest thing you've come across so far?
Oh man, the craziest thing, truthfully,
like right now,
would have to be.
What would top the list?
Well, yeah, the top of my list. Now, I always share this story because it's kind of the first maybe true experience that I ever had, far beyond seeing a UFO or a ghost or anything like that. Now, I was probably around 9-10 years old. And I mean, I had a fascination with kind of strange things anyway, like dinosaurs. I was amazed with dinosaurs. But we went out west on a family vacation, and we had stopped by Yellowstone National Park to check in. We had a campsite there. Now, this, of course, was the time when you could leave your kids out in the car and you wouldn't get arrested. So, my dad and my stepmom left all the kids in the car, and they went and checked us in. Well, me and my older brother, we had purchased some Indian rain dance bells at a little, novelty shop on the side of the road kind of deal. And so we're sitting there, we're bored. I mean, there's all these kids in this van sitting out there all by themselves, so kids are going to be kids. And, we looked at each other and we're like, hey, why don't we put these bells on and let's, shake them around a little bit, chant, see if we can make it rain. They're Indian rain dance bells, right? So we did. We slapped them on. We shook them, and we did our best impression of a Native American chant we could. And sure enough, it started raining. And, of course, we got freaked out by it, because if anything, I mean, I was about 9, 10. He was around 11, 12. So we seriously thought we made it rain. And, but we didn't stop there. We were like, okay, well, let's shake them again and see if we can make it stop raining. Because if we make it stop raining, that's got to say something, right? I'll buy a coincidence that we just shook the bells at the right time and it started raining. But now if we make it stop, now come on, two coincidences with very high, probabilities or I guess very low probabilities happen that close together. Well, we shook the bells, we chanted, and it stopped. And we took the bells off and never touched them again.
Really?
Freaked out.
Wow.
Yes. So, there was a strange, very unusual moment, very spiritual moment in my life. And one of the very first things that got me into this.
Okay. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Wow. Keeps going out. I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't touch anything. And I apologize to the people in the chat room, by the way, because I haven't been paying attention to it because it didn't work for a while for me.
Well, I'm in there. I'm watching it, so. But yeah, that I've had a lot of strange things happen, but for me that tops the list, and partly because it's one of the very first experiences I had of that magnitude. It was unreal. I fully believe I made it rain.
I understand.
And I still do to this day. And me and my brother, we talk about it all the time. And we were in our 30s now. This happened, what would that be? 16,
late
15.
70s, early 80s?
Well, it would have been, I was born 77, so say late 80s. So, you're talking almost 20 years ago, 15 years ago or so. Well, actually, I guess over 20 years, right? Jeez, I'm getting old. But, yeah, so, over 20 years ago, and we still, to this day, we talk about it. And we're like, what the heck happened there? And, it's stuck with us, and I don't think we'll ever lose it. So that's why I go back to that as being the top of the list, because it was one that just said, okay, there's a lot of stuff out there that we don't understand. There's stuff that we're capable of that we do not understand. Now, the question is, how do we get to do that on a regular basis? How can I just walk outside and say, man, the ground's kind of dry, do a little dance and it rains? How do I get to that again?
Hey, it's a bit, good luck with trying it now. Or at least you might want to go out into a remote field somewhere.
Right, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, could you imagine, though? I mean, having that ability, which I think we do. I think everybody has the ability to be just simply amazing.
Well, who knows? I mean, the strangest thing that ever happened to me was my I have two older brothers, and the one closer to me in age, he was supposed to meet me and my friend at our house, and we were at a party, and my friend, and he was dropping off a girl at our house. He was going to go hang out with the girl, and then after whenever he was done, he was going to come meet me and another friend at our house, at my house. And we were teenagers. We were like 17, 18 years old. And we were sitting there waiting, and I was with my friend Brian. I said, Brian, you know what? Rick's been in an accident. And he's like, what? I was like, he's in an accident. And he was literally like maybe not even 5-10 minutes late or whatever. And I just knew it. And I just started driving. And I actually found where he was. But he wasn't in like a fatal accident. He was like the car basically took off the front bumper at an intersection. Like it just sliced the front bumper off, and the car was still fine and drivable, and somehow I just knew, and just weird things like that,
It's amazing, ain't it? Makes you wonder.
It is, and I don't know. I go with to be honest with you, lately I've been following my gut quite a bit, like on things where I guess you could say I've been listening to that inner voice and trying to let it guide me instead of like questioning every little thing and analyzing every little thing, because that's all I've been doing for a long time, and now I'm kind of like just going with the flow.
Yeah, and
I'm
kind of the same way. I like to go with the flow. I like to say, okay, let's just do it. Let's try it. Let's not sit here and overthink it. Let's not overanalyze it, because it may be something good and we're going to talk ourselves out of it. And then again, we may do something and we fell at it. But you know what? That's a learning process. That's something that there's something there you can take away from it.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, in the past, I can't believe it, but like 5 years, I think I've read a couple 100 books where I didn't read a book in my life. I'm lucky I finished a textbook in school.
Right, yeah. It's same here.
And I've read so much stuff, and I've done so much research on all sorts of things that just about every subject you've covered, to be honest with you. And it's amazing what's out there. I mean, do you realize if you Google just about any one of those phrases, it comes back with like 1 million results in like, a tenth of a second. Like you put in UFO and you search, boom, it has 31 million results in 0.17 seconds. You put in, Bigfoot, and it has pretty amazing results. I don't know what's going off there.
But, that's one of the great things, too, I think, that really is helping push all this forward and also bring it to mainstream is the fact we have the Internet. We've got instant information. I go outside and I videotape, what I believe is a UFO or strange light in the sky, well, literally in minutes, or even in some cases seconds. If I film it from my phone, I can have it posted on YouTube, my website, other websites, Facebook. Put a little Twitter that says, go check out my UFO video I just recorded 5 minutes ago. You can put it out there as quick as it comes in, and, that gets people more access to this information that's all over the place.
Well, I agree 1,000%. I think what I would like to see is just the truth somehow can be presented in an undeniable way where we become knowing rather than the being left with the what if or the maybe not or maybe or who knows, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being left with the mystery, basically. You know, and there's lots of them, obviously, because you guys are researching them.
Man, that is the thing. Mysteries are all over the place, and it's one of the reasons, to be honest, that when the lady who owned this magazine before us, when it came up for sale, you know, let's say UFO magazine would have came up for sale, I probably wouldn't have looked into trying to take over the magazine, or and I don't want to call it take over, but continue the magazine. But Mysteries gave us that opportunity to talk about so much stuff. We weren't pigeonholed by the title. It was like, mysteries. My God, what isn't a mystery out there? You know, I mean, you know, again, why do I feel so inclined to get up in the morning and go to work? You know, that, to me, that's a mystery. You know, there's some kind of driving force behind that. For everybody, it's different. It could be money. It could be pleasure. It could be some people like pain. It could be that they hate their job so much that they love going to it. You know, I mean, there's so much diversity in the world that also aids in creating these mysteries of the who's, the whys, the what's, the ifs, the maybe not. I mean, it's an amazing world out there.
Yeah, but on the flip side is, to me, in my opinion, there's a lot of mysteries because there's a lot of cover-up.
Oh,
you know, like
for sure.
You know, like the pyramids, for example. I mean, people are not allowed to go in there. You have to be part of some special secret squirrel club to get in there, and you got to know a special handshake, and you got to be able to do the hula hoop 3 times and backstep.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and there's a lot of
stuff like that too.
Yeah, and, you know, that's, you know, you hear people say, you know, money is power. Well, I don't think so. I think knowledge is power. And people want to hoard that knowledge, especially on things, you know, like, you know, what is the secret of the pyramids? You know, you know, is there a group of 12 ruling the world? You know, that's, you know, people are gonna hoard that knowledge, and people are going to keep it to themselves because, you know, it can be powerful. If the right kind of knowledge can be very, very powerful.
Yep.
Yeah, and again, in the wrong hands. Yeah, in the wrong hands, that can be even devastating knowledge.
Well, yep, I agree. No doubt about it. But I think there's plenty of, like, even though they're mysteries, they're not. How can I say it? Like I was looking at the article with the big anaconda snake.
Right.
You know, it looked like an old magazine cover. I'm not looking at it now, but just stuff like that. You know, it's pretty wild. I mean, people used to say they had to prove anacondas. They had to go out and find them. People would talk about them. Nobody would ever believe it until they finally started filming the suckers. And you see this big 40-foot long snake that's body is thicker than you. That's literally small people. It's like, oh my God.
It can handle eating like 4 or 5 people with no problem. Yeah, that stuff.
There's all sorts of sick stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then the ocean is. I mean, did you know that right now there's a thing going on off the coast of Yemen where people are saying a portal of sorts is just opening up in the ocean off the coast of Yemen?
No, I haven't heard that one. That sounds interesting.
There's military ships circling around it in like a 6-mile radius from like every other country because they don't know what to expect, that if something might come out of it or not, or if it's just a natural phenomenon.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard that. I'll have to look into that because that sounds pretty wicked.
Yeah, you can YouTube it, Google it. I forget exactly what the big title is, but just do coast of Yemen or portal off the coast of Yemen, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
You'll see, it's pretty intense. Yeah, forget about it. Got the Bermuda Triangle. I mean, I've read so many books that say that basically the Bermuda Triangle is simply one location on Earth that has some sort of, I don't know, ripple effect or something where it's like as if you're stepping through into another plane of existence. And they say that there's all these different ones on the Earth that they just happen naturally, where, like,
right.
without any warning, poof, you're there.
Yeah,
and,
well, there's also one, is it off the coast of Japan or somewhere around there? I can't remember. It's something triangle that they call it. I can't remember the name of it. I'm thinking like Dragon's Triangle or something, but I bet I'm way off on that. So I better just go.
Well, I'm just saying, there's lots of cool stuff like that, and
yeah.
Well, I don't know how cool it is. I don't know if I want to go give it a test run.
Yeah, I'm not going to just go sit in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle hoping something happens. It's because I think it's cool.
Yeah, let's bring our cameras with us. Like, that's gonna help us.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Let's
YouTube it. Yeah. Let's put it on YouTube. But yeah, I do believe we should be out there exploring these mysteries and really trying to get to the bottom of them, because it's going to help us understand ourselves. We're a part of this universe. We're a part of this planet. We're a part of everything, in my opinion. And we get out there and explore this stuff and try to understand it. Can only help us to understand ourselves a little bit more.
Well, this is true. I agree. I would like to see, what mysteries I would like to see solved? Mysteries of the human body and the soul. Like, I'd like somebody to unravel the mysteries of, like, astral travel, to give, like, a 100% book on how it works, where anyone can understand it, to a 3-year-old can understand it and do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd like to see those mysteries unraveled. I'd like to see telepathy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it'll happen with an evolved. I think if we evolve and we don't have another war ever again, I think it's possible.
Yeah. I think we're definitely, I mentioned earlier, I think we're capable of some amazing things, but I think we also delude ourselves, with the stress that's all around us every day, all day, worrying about paying your bills, worrying about, going to war. I mean, my gosh, we've been at war for the last 7, 8, 9 years, something like that now. They say it's over, but come on, give me a break.
You mean 1,700 years?
Well, yeah, if we want to, we go back to the beginning of time.
Somewhere.
Yeah, as long as we've been on this planet, we've been, at war, and I'm sure, whether we were put on this planet, created on this planet, or something else put us on this planet from another planet, we were at war there. Even if you want to,
that's what they say too about this guy who I interviewed a couple weeks ago, Aaron McCollum. He said he, was sort of inducted into doing Black Ops, and he said a lot of wild stuff that, like, you could definitely say is a mystery because you can't prove it. I mean, he's saying there's bases in the middle of the ocean, and technically the middle of the ocean is maritime law. Anybody, anybody can go park in the middle of the ocean and not have to answer to anybody technically.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is pretty intense, and that's pretty mysterious, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to think of stuff, because the more I think about it, the huger the list gets.
It does, don't it? It's like it's nonstop. You just, as you try to answer some questions, it ends up bringing up, more. That's the thing about it. And even talking about bases in the ocean. What about the theories of bases on the moon, bases on Mars?
Right. Exactly.
Same concept. Nobody owns Mars. Yeah, nobody owns Mars. Nobody owns the moon. So, it's not impossible.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. If there's like, I'm sure. I feel pretty like confident that it's possible that somebody could have built their own like UFO, I guess you could say, like an anti-gravity propulsion system or whatever. That just left. That, and all I can say is I'm jealous they didn't share.
Yeah. Next time, please stop by my house and take me for a ride.
I'm sure there's. I don't know. I'm sure there's got to be. I mean, that would be too conceited. I think that to think that we're the only thing there is. That there's not life anywhere else but here. Where
I
every
agree.
star, the sun. Every star is a sun.
Yeah. No, I fully agree with you. I've always felt that it was a very, conceited or selfish attitude to say, well, we're the only ones in this universe that we have no idea where or even if it ends and what is out there.
Technically, we were programmed to think that by what I call the controllers, because there's so many different kinds. You can call it religion, you can call it money, you can call it business, you can call it the corporation, whatever, the elite, the Illuminati.
Yeah.
You can throw any of those at it, and the bottom line is the people, the controllers, the ones who are in control of that kind of thing, and that people let them do it. And sometimes, I don't know. Sometimes, I mean, those are mysteries within themselves too. I mean, there's so many crazy things, and I don't know what would be the best thing to focus on. What do you think should be the biggest priority as far as research for people in this world?
Wow, that's a tough question.
Why
man.
not? It's fun.
I there's so many of them that I would think would be important. Definitely conspiracies. I mean, that's something. Again, it's the hoarding of knowledge. Ultimately, that's what.
You think so?
Well, I mean, it's the hoarding of knowledge, and I think that's a barrier that's got to be broken within humanity. Is the fact that really, when it comes down to it, we're all equal, regardless of our job status, our money status, or status in society. We all have the right to the same amount of knowledge, and I agree with you. I think there are groups and people out there who are covering up this knowledge, who are hoarding it, who are using it for power, and what would happen if that knowledge was released into the public? With certainty, not with just theories, but with certainty that here is. The truth behind the pyramids. Here is the truth behind this. That would just catapult, humanity forwards. Who knows how many thousands of years? Because it slows us down essentially by keeping that knowledge back and keeping it from the masses. So I would kind of go that line, But then again, there's so much stuff out there that is important. I mean, I just think if we could travel to other planets and we focused our research on that and was able to colonize other planets, what could that do for humanity? Do
you think they're sensationalizing ghosts and those kind of things on purpose to take the focus away from that kind of stuff?
It could be, but then again, ghosts. Trying to understand ghosts is also a very important thing. Because let's say we prove ghosts exist, then we've proven that there is life after death. So what's the implications of that?
Well, that's actually, that is actually an excellent point. Nobody really puts it across that way to me.
Right.
But, I don't know. I think a lot of people believe in that anyway, that there is life after death. And I think even I don't know. I don't I feel like there's got to be basically, I don't know. You know how people say there's a lot of books that say the astral travel and the out of body experiences that like they describe it, they say like there's a silver cord connected to you, and and you rise up and you look down, you see your body, and they float around, and they can go to any time they want to any place, blah blah blah.
Right.
And I think that if that's true, that to be able to, I don't know, I would just think that there is life after death, as considering how many people who say they can do that and they can prove it and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And they all say the same thing, that anybody can do it. It's just unlocking the knowledge. And I think that knowledge blocking thing, that's where that comes into play.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I definitely agree. Right. Again, I think it's not money that's power, it's knowledge. That's the power, and that's where you get groups who do hoard that, who hold it back, who want it for themselves so they can, stand at the top of the mountain and make everybody else do what they want to.
You know what? What do you think? This is a question that is kind of, it's a spontaneous question, but what do you think the results would be if people found a lot of the mysteries to be solved concerning, like, for the sake of argument, cryptozoology? Like, imagine that somebody was able to track down a Bigfoot and to actually, interact with it or find where it lives to a point where they could be, like, watched, or they could plant cameras in, like, trees and stuff.
Right.
What do you think would be the day after that?
Yeah,
You'd be like, all right, no big deal.
I think for some things it would be that. For others, there would be a lot more that would happen. Say like the proof, again, 100% solid proof that aliens existed. I think that can really turn a lot of things upside down. Where Bigfoot,
that's a world changer.
Exactly. Where I don't think Bigfoot would have as much, the discovery of Bigfoot wouldn't have that kind of impact that the proof of UFOs would. But it'd still be something. Well, number one, you all of a sudden you're going to have Bigfoot season, because you're going to have the hunters come out who want to bag a Bigfoot and hang it up on the wall.
That would be wrong. I would be against that.
I would be against it. Yeah, I would definitely be against it. But what's going to happen? It is. That's definitely going to be one of the effects of the day after. But, I think, let's say a Bigfoot was discovered. I think that might really set off a spark, or really, let's say, not really set off a spark, but fuel the spark to create a much larger fire of people trying to get out there and find more of something like that. Because now say, oh, wow, if Bigfoot can exist, then that means the Loch Ness Monster can. That means the Chupacabra can.
Right.
So you might see an explosion of, where, and I'm just putting out a fake number here. So, I mean, for the cryptozoologists out there, I know there's a lot more of you than I'm going to say here, but let's say today we have 100 cryptozoologists. Well, the day after the discovery of Bigfoot, you might have 10,000 cryptozoologists who are ready to go on an exploration to find other mythical creatures, because we have one. It's here. So what's that say about all the other ones that haven't been found yet? May just say we're looking in the wrong place, or we haven't looked hard enough.
But you know what? There's been some pretty intense discoveries as well that, the people who find it could shove it in your face until they're blue in the face, and it doesn't make a difference. You're like, yeah, wow, cool. Awesome. That is the sickest fish I ever saw in my life. Look at those fangs.
Yeah.
It's the last one? Damn.
Yeah.
It's one of a kind? Shit. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Pardon my French. I'm sorry. Try not to curse. I always forget.
Well, that's
just
that's one thing.
Exercising my freedom.
There you go. Exercise it, man. We have the right. We have a lot of rights that people just don't allow us to exercise. But that's something else. I think a lot of these experiences that people have, and whether it's personal experiences that they relate through written or oral, if it's video evidence, photo evidence, in the case of ghost hunting, EVPs, those experiences really ultimately are going to be yours. You cannot explain that or get somebody to believe that without them really experiencing it, or somebody who has experienced something similar to it. Now, someone who has seen a red light in the sky like I have, that's gonna resonate with them. They're gonna be like, yeah, man, I know what you're talking about. But somebody who's never seen anything like that, they're gonna give exactly the response you said. Oh, that's pretty interesting. That's cool, because they don't understand it. And when you see things like that, or you experience things, like red lights in the sky, making it rain, that changes your life. That gives you a whole different perspective on what's out there and what life really means. It is life-changing, and you will never look at anything the same.
Yeah, I mean, one big mystery to me that's kind of like in the forefront of my mind these days is a few people, based on all the ancient scripts and writings that they're able to get translated and read, they're saying that basically they're coming to the conclusion that some extraterrestrial race that we look like, in the old in their likeness, quote unquote thing,
right,
came and built us for another place, for, I guess, to breed, like almost like in simplest terms, like they're trying to say we're an alien ant farm.
Right.
They came, put us together, built us. It's like the Matrix without being plugged into a computer.
Yeah. Well, if you go, you start with, let's say, Zecharia Sitchin, right? His theory is that we were basically created by this alien race, the Anunnaki, to mine gold.
Right. There's one of them. And then you got these other people saying the Nephilim, and then there's like 20 different kinds. And there's a lot of wild stuff. I mean, what? It's like, what to believe? What do you believe? But to me, in my eyes, whether it's the truth or not, it's another piece of knowledge, and that's the only thing that's definite about it. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that somebody told you this story about, that they saw a flashing light in the sky and it came down and shined a beam on them, and then they woke up a day later with no memory, that's just another piece of knowledge that somebody told you that story, and whether you believe it or not, the story exists, and sooner or later the truth will reveal itself to me,
Yeah, I agree with you. Not only does the story exist, but a million other stories just like it exist as well.
Exactly. And everybody, if you really think about it, there's probably millions of people out there who have had a mysterious, unexplainable thing happen to them.
Right.
That, they don't even want to talk about it because they're so freaked out about it,
Yeah.
It's weird how fear plays such a part in, if a reality is sort of shown to you, or you sort of discover it on your own, and how you freak out and get scared, and you're like, oh my God. And then later on, you're like, oh man, that was awesome. What was I thinking? Why did I get scared? That's like, I guess, like the rain thing, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
And for me, it's man, I can't. There's a million what ifs in my life. I'll tell you that. What if I did this, or coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, as part of it, we're almost, raised, programmed, however you want to classify it, to be afraid of that stuff. We're taught, don't go in the dark. You don't go outside in the dark. I mean, our parents will tell us that you're going to get hurt, something's going to happen, or the bear's going to come out of the woods and get you.
That's a very real one.
yeah. So I mean, that's stuff that we are, through television, through our own raising, our own community. A lot of times we are, we are programmed to fear a lot of things. And when something amazing happens to us, almost our first reaction is to fear it, because we don't know what it is.
Yeah, for me, that was what I consider to have had an astral out-of-body experience only once in my life, and it happened so quickly, and I basically got scared. That's the end result. In the end, like, I got scared, like I felt like I was like I followed these instructions. They were like breathing instructions, and
right.
I just found myself like kind of half dozing off, and it worked. It was like first time tryer's luck to me, kind of deal. Yeah. And that was it. I got scared, and I woke up, and that was it. I was like, holy shit, I'm not doing that again. I'm just going to sleep.
I'll be honest with you. Almost exactly what you're describing is what happened to me one time. I had this horrible headache. It was like one of the worst headaches I'd ever had. So, I went into my bedroom, and I was like, I'm going to lay down and, see if I can kind of relax it away. There was a time where I refused to take any kind of medicines for headaches, things like that. I was living a very simple life. I sold everything I owned, and, I think I had a mattress on the floor, a couple of cushions in the living room. And I went back in the bedroom, and I laid down, was going to relax this headache away, which I'd done many times before. And as I laid there, all of a sudden, this vision, I'm laying there with my eyes closed. I could see this tunnel. And, I remember it. Just the details about it. And it was alternating colors of purple and black. And, I could even kind of like hear myself talk. And, I was like, okay, well, I want to get through this tunnel. This was, at first it kind of scared me. And then I was like, okay, I want to get through this tunnel. Then I kind of got excited. And,
cool.
As I tried to go through this tunnel, all of a sudden it felt like my body slammed back into me. Like how you get that, you wake up from a sleep startled, and you just jump, and you just kind of jump real quick. Well, that's what it felt like. And I sat up, and I was like, holy cow, what just happened to me? What was that? And it scared me. But I kind of got past the fear a little bit, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to try it again. Well, let's see if we can figure this thing out. And I ended up going through a session of images, traveling through them and coming back to the body. And again, I came back to the body like 5 times, fed up, thought about it, would lay back down, relax myself to the point of going right back into it. So I know I wasn't dreaming. But it was mixed emotions. I was scared to death at the very start of it because I'd never experienced that before. Didn't set out to experience it, and it happened. But then I got very comfortable with it and was able to control it. I think I did that for about 30. So you can do it right now? No. It was the only time I ever done it. I got to where I could control it there. I've never tried it again. And I think some of that is where we're talking about the fear. There's a lot, with the rain, with this, out-of-body experience. I've never attempted them again. And I think some of that is that fear.
Yeah, you know what? Same here. But I have tried, and I don't know. I think I end up falling asleep or maybe having lucid dreams. That's pretty much it. Like, I can't really say I've felt myself rise out, like, for real. I've read some pretty interesting books on the subject, and some people's experiences are quite amazing,
Yeah, they are.
That Tibetan monk guy. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The Tibetan monk guy, Lobsang Rampa, I think his name is. Mm-hmm. He writes all about it, and there's a bunch of other people who write about it, and it seems to be a pretty popular thing. Yeah.
The monk, now, is that the one who can, he astral projects himself into the sky, and people would even claim to see him from airplanes and stuff? Is that the one I'm thinking about?
No. This guy just says that he was able to basically have out-of-body experiences. Like, to him, it was like stepping outside of his body, like stepping through the door.
Right, yeah.
He laid down, put himself in a state within a minute or two, and poof. He could go travel around the world and see things. He'd come sit in my room on my chair and watch me while I don't know he's there.
Right, yeah. That's a scary thought, too, ain't it?
Well, yes and no. I mean, there's a lot of people, in a lot of the books that I've read with abductee experiences of people who claim to have met benevolent extraterrestrials from other planets, they all say that that's a normal thing for humans, and that for some reason the reason we can't do it is because that knowledge is hidden from us, as we were saying earlier.
Well, I'm mainly talking about, someone astral projection, doing astral projection, and like you say, being in your room watching you. I mean, it's like, am I taking a shower and someone's astral projecting the bathroom watching me take a shower?
I know. Well,
it's like, wow.
Sooner or later you gotta get past it.
Yeah,
you gotta say, screw
you
it.
do.
You know what? That's what ghosts. You know what? And I think, to me, that's where the whole ghost thing ties in, because they say this one guy, that one Tibetan guy, according to his book anyway, he says that when people die, that he believes in reincarnation, and he says that people live cycles on Earth until their soul learns this lesson and sort of moves on to the next level. And
right.
He was saying that people are basically astral beings without that cord connected to their physical human body once they die.
Right.
And they could just come back again until they're ready to go up to the next level or whatever. But anyway, that I think, and they basically, in the one book, he said this one guy flipped out, and he kind of like, since he didn't really believe in anything, he put like this cloud around himself where he couldn't see out of it, and he was just kind of stuck in it because he didn't know what to expect after he died, so to speak. And I'm thinking that ghosts are like those kind of people where they didn't know, like when they died, they didn't know what to expect. They didn't, because he says that when you're in this afterlife, whatever you imagine is a reality for you.
Right.
If you imagine, a hamburger on the table, it's there. There it is. Boom. When you eat it, it feels like it's real.
Right.
It's almost like being in the Matrix kind of thing, except everything's at will. If you think of a beautiful Playboy bunny in front of you, boom, it's there. That's how this guy's describing the afterlife. And I just think it's pretty interesting. And to me, what he says is, that's what I was saying, ties into the whole ghost thing. Like maybe these are the people who they're stuck. Like they don't know how to move on, or they're kind of putting themselves there as ghosts, I guess would be the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Like they're willfully following people around and stuff, or staying in the same place waiting for something, stuff like that. Like they're constantly waiting for something to happen. Like that's the ghost story 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, you definitely hear that a lot within that field, and it's one of the reasons why you see a lot of psychic mediums quickly becoming part of, paranormal research groups, and even though they call themselves paranormal research groups, it's mainly ghost hunting. And, you see them becoming a part of the groups to go out there to try to help, these entities that are stuck,
right.
As they say, to cross over or move on, or whatever, the case may be.
And they're using some pretty scientific stuff to prove what they're seeing and what they're capturing. And to me, that makes it that makes sense of all the other stuff, too.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're almost scientifically, like when they use the thermal camera, that camera's no joke. Those things are like $20,000. When you point it, it shows you basically the temperatures of things. And, the better the camera, the more you see. And that's pretty intense when you see something like thin air, turning, is that the exhale of their breath floating in the air? Or, you know what I mean? There's so many ways to put it, but to me it's not just a mystery, it's a possibility, Or the inevitability of its explanation of the truth of it all is bound to come sooner or later. But the fact that so many are being addressed now is just interesting to me, you know.
Yeah, and
there's so many
that stuff
things.
is there's so much out there. Now, I wanted to one of the people in the chat room, they were talking about an article about out-of-body experience and near-death experiences. And, you know, near-death experiences is something a lot of people, you know, are really into in trying to figure out what's going on there. And, of course, you got all the theories. But what's really neat is here recently I had the opportunity to interview Dr. Raymond Moody, who coined the phrase near-death experience and basically fathered the research for it back in the 70s with his book Life After Life. Well, Dr. Moody has just recently published a book called Glimpses of Eternity about shared death experiences, which, you know, is another one of those mysteries that just adds on to it all. And what this is, I mean, of course, I think we all pretty much know what a near-death experience is, right?
I mean,
yeah, you know, pretty simple.
They say they were looking down at their body, but then they returned to it.
Right. You've got that. You've got people, you know, who claim to see loved ones in these experiences, things like that. Well, shared death experiences, it is the case where, you know, let's say I have a dying loved one, so I'm at their bedside. So they start to pass, and, you know, they kind of go into what people describe as a near-death experience. Now, in this case, this isn't near death. They are dying. Well, all of a sudden, the people, you know, it can be one, it can be many, it could be part of the group, began to share that death experience with that individual. Now, of course, you know, we hear a lot about life reviews when we talk about near-death experiences, you know, people having to go through a life review. Well, these people are claiming that they sat in on the life review of their dying loved one and and seeing, you know, all their secrets and the pain, the happiness, you know, everything that comes with a life review, as well as seeing that split in, I don't know, the space-time continuum where they cross over and there's loved ones. Yeah, and
that's what the guy was saying in his book too. That you go to this hall of records and you review all your lives, and
right,
it sounds pretty awesome. but then again, it also sounds kind of controlling. So I'm a little on the fence with it.
Yeah, well, and that's one of the most common reports of a near-death experience, are something along those lines, is that people go through these life reviews. But you know, you take a near-death experience, obviously the first, you know, counter argument to a near-death experience is, well, it's a chemical reaction within the brain that happens during death. Okay, that's great. I'll buy it for now, but now we have shared death experiences. Are you going to tell me that the person not dying, all of a sudden at the same time that their loved one is passing, is having that chemical reaction as well? Because they're witnessing the life review. They're witnessing their loved one cross over to somewhere and some kind of split in the space-time continuum. You know, not only are they witnessing the life review, but they also are feeling, you know, because a lot of people explain a life review like, if you inflicted pain on somebody, well, during your life review, you're gonna feel that pain. I guess almost kind of like, you know, let's put it in, you know, religious terms, Judgment Day. So they also experience that. Yeah, they also experience that pain. They also experience that happiness. But many of them come out of it saying, you know, even though I was seeing things that, you know, my husband, my wife, my child, whatever the case may be, never told me about. You know, their secrets were revealed to me. It was very comforting. I wasn't mad. I wasn't upset. I was actually relieved. I was comforted. I felt very good about it.
Yeah, I've heard that so many times myself. I mean, that's kind of common knowledge, really. You know, a lot of people say that, you know, and I don't know. To me, when you try to like go to the top of the, I guess you could say, food chain or the pyramid for answers, you always have to deal with the people at the bottom first, either way, who are going to like blow you off for the answers, you know. But, you know, I also wanted to ask you, do you plan on doing a lot of stuff with time travel, like articles, with, I mean, right now, as far as I know, there's John Titor. There's a guy
Right.
who was called Sam Lenov that had a site for 5 years, and I guess, in my opinion, he bought the site, put it up, let it go, and then let it just run out. It looked to me like he had a 5-year hosting contract that just ran out, and then the site just went away. But
I would like to cover.
I
I would definitely like to cover a lot about time travel. I mean, I think it's fascinating. I think it's a possibility. Now, I'd never heard of the second guy, but John Titor, I mean, that's, when you talk about time travel, that's like the biggest name. The whole mystery of John Titor, who he was, these predictions that he made that have came true, and of course some that didn't come true. But whoever John Titor was, he was very intelligent, whether he was a hoax or whether he was real. Because the way he explained stuff, he left it very open that he could be wrong but still be right. That was the thing about him that really, put him. It's really hard to give an opinion about Titor.
Well, you know what? I agree with that. I think that's a way you have to present everything these days, because people are so demanding of proof, or just they're so programmed to disbelieve anything initially, unless it was, presented by like the government or something. Like there's just still people who are like that. Yeah. And I don't know. Some people just don't believe enough, and being skeptical is healthy. And to me, questioning everything is a healthy thing to do. But at the same time, you got to be open-minded to accept it too. If reality presents itself to you, are you going to deny it anyway? Kind of deal,
Yeah.
It's almost like going back to what we were saying about the astral travel and everything. It was like you denied, like it worked, and then you either fear stopped you from doing it, or
right, yeah,
or you yourself just said, hey, I don't need it, or whatever, whatever, like.
Yeah. Now, I've always described myself as an open-minded skeptic. I mean, I think you do have to question, the validity of some of the evidence that comes out. A video of a ghost or a UFO, you got to look at it. But, I believe in that stuff. I believe it's possible. I believe it does exist. But that doesn't mean I believe every single piece of evidence is 100% true and real. There are people who are going to fake stuff. There are people for attention. I mean, it's, the two guys from where in the world were they from? They were on CNN with the Bigfoot, had the Bigfoot in the cooler, all that great stuff. Well, there was a big hype when it came about. Now, as soon as I heard who was involved, I was like, okay, this is not even real. I mean, Tom Biscardi, come on, anything he touches, I'm not going to believe.
Well, I don't even know who that is, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, he's known for Bigfoot hoaxes, plain and simple. And then once he got involved with it, it was like, okay, Tom Biscardi's involved. Yeah, let's really question this thing. And again, it came out to be a hoax.
When did you get out of it, though? Like, what did you get out of that? An article,
publicity.
Money?
Yeah, money. Yeah, money came out of it for him. Publicity. Publicity turns into money. For some people. Some people it don't. Some people it turns into jail time. It was
really.
You do have to pay attention to what people are presenting and make up your mind for yourself and really look at it, use your own knowledge, or go out and gain some more knowledge to analyze that piece of evidence, or what possibly might be the truth behind it, or what might be the lie behind it.
Right. And to me, sometimes if something makes sense, it just plain makes sense, even if it's not true, or the possibility of it not being true. But sometimes, if something makes sense, it just does. For example, I was reading a book how this guy said he was abducted and he was taken to another planet where they were advanced, spiritually and technologically, and they lived in this utopian type society, and they in the book, the guy describes how the society works. he doesn't just say, oh, it's a utopian society. He says, they have no money, everybody contributes to the community, and there's people there, people hardly work. They work, a total of like 2 hours a week or something like that, and people take turns doing the dirty jobs, and everything's automated. And the more the guy goes into describing how it works, the more you're like, holy, excuse me, I don't want to curse, I'm sorry. You're like, wow, that makes a lot of sense.
Hey, don't bother me.
You know what I mean?
Show, man.
You're like,
yeah.
You're like, wow, that makes sense. Like, it totally, the more you put a little thought into it and think to yourself, wow, that actually does make sense. That's actually like, wow, if it worked like that, everybody would be happy. There'd be a social standard. There wouldn't be bums in the street. People would take care of the young and the weak, the old and the weak, and teach the young, and it wouldn't be so, grimy.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Yeah, and I think there's there's a point where we need.
It's a mystery because it can't be proven, but at the same time, the idea that's coming across is making some kind of sense.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah, and I think
I always do that.
No, you're fine. There's also a time where we just need to accept things for what they are, what they seem to be, and honestly I just got through speaking at a conference this past weekend, which dealt mainly with ghosts. It was Haunted Wilkesboro conference, and I was
haunted
to speak
where?
on Wilkesboro. It's in North Carolina.
Oh really? Because there's one in Pennsylvania too.
Oh yeah, there is a Wilkesboro in it. Yeah. Well, I was asked to speak on case studies and false positive evidence. And, something happened to me the night before, which really made me kind of rethink a little bit of how I was going to talk about this. And this lady came up to me on one of the ghost tours they were having, again, the night before the actual conference took place. And she brought me a picture, and, she wanted my opinion about it and was like, that this picture was taken so and blah blah blah, and ended up coming down to she believed it was her dead father who had died almost like 20 years to the date or so of when this picture was taken. Now for me, it was obvious in the picture that it had been raining. They were around a lot of people because it was a ghost train at this amusement park. There were all these different variables that when I looked at it, I didn't see the face of her dead father. I didn't see a face at all. But, who am I to turn around and crush that for her? Am I really going to turn to her and say, listen, your father's dead, move on? That's just, there's a lot of moisture in the air. You're around a lot of people, that could even be cigarette.
Or you can turn around and make her feel like a psycho and be like, you better keep that sort of shit to yourself. That's not any better either.
Yeah, so at that point, the best thing I felt I could do is let her have that joy, and who knows, maybe there's something else out there in the universe that just makes it where I can't see that that's her dead father, but for her, she can see it very clear. I don't know, so where can I say that picture isn't or is her dead father?
Yep. My best example of my own experience in that sort of thing happening was, one night, I met this girl who, when I was like 18 years old, I was in a club, and I met this girl, and she told me I was her father. She's like, I forgot. She comes right up to me and says, hey, Renato. And I was like, hi, And she looked young, so I didn't want to, I was just like, whatever, And she's like, you're my father. And I'm like, well, whatever. And I was like, I think I turned around and I was like, please. I go, please, I'm never having kids, and if I do, I'm gonna be like 40. And well, that's far from the truth right now, I'll tell you that. But the bottom line is, the girl started crying, and she was like, I can't believe you said that. And like other people there took her seriously. And, consoled her and everything. I was like, holy shit. And I turned around and I said, listen, what? I said, who am I to call you a liar? If you're telling me the truth, I'm sorry. and, give me a hug. And I gave the girl a hug, and she felt better. It was the weirdest thing that ever happened to me when and I was,
right.
and I admit I was definitely under the influence of all sorts of things, but I can remember it pretty clearly like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I felt bad, I felt like I did something wrong. She made me feel guilty.
Right.
And she tried telling me she's my daughter. And
yeah,
that's why I'm so into time travel. You know how many times somebody in my life has come up to me and told me, yo, I saw you at this spot on this day. And I'd be like, that wasn't me, because I was here at this time on this day.
Right.
Wherever they said I was nowhere near there. And then I had people telling me they saw somebody who looked like me 10 years ago. That happened to me. I can't count how many times. But it's not like, it got to a point in my life where I was kind of like so used to it that like I just blew it off every time.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I started analyzing it and thinking back, I was like, wow, this happened like 100 times. You know? And hey, man, it's pretty intense stuff. For me, anyway. But all it is really, am I going to expose myself to ridicule? Or what? You know what I mean? Or are you looking for answers?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's pretty wild, man.
And I started looking for answers. And I think it's, to me, as long as you know what you're getting yourself into, like the people who come out and say they experienced something, whether it be running into a cryptozoological creature in the woods, anything. And you got to remember that covers a broad spectrum, cryptozoology.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about vampires, Bigfoots, leprechauns, weed folk, animals that walk on two legs, water creatures.
Well, even at that, I mean, it doesn't just cover mythological creatures. It also covers animals that are outside of their natural habitat, like the jaguarundi that's spotted a lot in Florida. Well, we know the jaguarundi exists. It's mainly it's native in South America, but why is it in Florida? Even that is covered under cryptozoology.
See, and there's so many things, like to me, those mysteries to me are, I kind of pack them in the cool category, like where to me it's like, if that's true, if that's real, it's cool and it's sick and it's wow. You know what I mean? Now, to me, the scientific stuff, the UFO, the time travel, the space people, those things are huge. Those are world-changing things. If those happen, if those are real, if they're not covered up, whatever. And I don't know. But I think the bigger mystery for us, really personally for me, is, like I said, the human body and the true understanding, the true of how it really works. Because a lot of people say that there's a lot of abilities within every single person that they just need to be unlocked. And that's a mystery. Yeah,
I fully agree with that. I mean, this, we do not know what we're capable of and what we can do. And, I think, it would scare us as well as amaze us, to really not just, see or understand what we can do, but to actually do it. I mean, you had mentioned telepathy. God, could you imagine being able to talk telepathically to each other?
Yep. You can't hide your thoughts, but
no,
it kind of. But right now, in the way the world is right now, that would be a bad thing. But if it eventually would become a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, we wouldn't need cell phones anymore either.
Right. And, the guys who own the cell phone companies wouldn't like that.
No, they wouldn't at all. Yeah, not at all. But yeah, I fully agree with you.
They need to be empty in these warehouses and shit. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think we do need to see a lot more focus on trying to figure out what we are capable of, who exactly we are, and what we can do.
You know what? You know what I was thinking about? Because I've been reading, like I said earlier, I've read a lot of things where people are basically coming to the conclusion that an extraterrestrial race, more advanced race, came here and planted us and made their little alien ant farm, right?
Right.
Now, in theory, hypothetically speaking, if that's true, why haven't they been here to help us all along, right? Are we supposed to learn? Are we, some project? And if we did get technologically advanced enough on our own, do you think, how can I say it? I don't know. Do you think that would just be wrong if they just showed up and were, hey, by the way, we made you.
By the way, we're here.
Sorry about letting all those wars happen and shit. You need to learn that on your own, by the way.
Yeah, what are you thinking? First, kind of you kind of mentioned that why have they been here to help us? Well, maybe they are. Maybe sometimes that's the intuition that we have. If they're that far advanced and can speak telepathically, well, why couldn't they? In our mind, as we go to, let's say, steal the candy bar from the store, all of a sudden we hear that little voice. That's not right. Yeah. Who's to say it's not them? Helping us out. And then, would it be wrong for them to pop up? I think if they did and said, hey, we put you here, I think they would have a lot of pissed off people to be like, what's up with that? Why are you not going to tell us for thousands of years and you just sent off to the side? So I think we might have a little bit of an uprising.
Well, we could do that. They'd be more advanced. They could just, press a button and they shut things off and it's easy.
Yeah, so we might have a 5-second uprising. The world's shortest shortest war.
I would love to see in my lifetime the shift in consciousness that so many people have spoke of, where everybody shifts into like this utopian love mode. And I don't mean erotic. I mean the real kind.
I agree with you, and I would love to see nothing than war disappear for people to finally, sit down and try to attain the knowledge, collectively together. I mean, my God, we ever done that? Just imagine what we could do. Right now,
like you were saying earlier. Like you said earlier, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
Like you said earlier, anything's possible.
Right. Yeah, I think so. And I think we are. I think we're starting to move to that direction a lot quicker. It does seem that in this age, a lot of people have become much more aware, or at least have a thirst for that understanding of ourselves. I mean, you see it. You see it in spirituality that has become very hot. I mean, even, ghost hunting. I believe, if we're out there looking for ghosts, in essence, we're exploring ourselves, because we believe that when we die, something we turn into spirit, our soul goes on, or we, we maintain as energy. Along with, look at the environmental move. I think that goes right along with it. We become much more aware of our surroundings and how important that is to us, which can only include other people around us too.
I agree. And you know what's nuts? Because I just thought about it, and like, let's just say we projected ourselves 200 years into the future from now, and we were that advanced, and there's flying cars and space travel and this and that. I bet you there'd probably be the list of mysteries would probably just, a lot of them would be checked off, solved. But I bet you there would still be just as huge a list of new ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
In other words, you would not be out of business.
No. Yeah, let's hope not. But no, I jokingly say, because, we have Mysteries Magazine, also have an internet radio show. And, I always say, the day that those things don't have to exist, well, that'll be the day that our company's successful. But, that's a collective. That's everybody. Our, Shadows Media, which is our company, we're not going to change the world. We're not going to go out there and make war disappear because everybody has to do that.
Hey, you never know. And,
you never know. You never know.
Some people say it takes one person. Sometimes all it takes is one person to make change. So you never know. That could be anyone at any time.
That is true. That is true.
I like that whole viral term, like on the internet. Like, I'm not really a big fan of like the whole Facebook, Twitter thing. Like, I understand it, like as far as like doing business and stuff, but personally, like, I'm basically just a family man. I like hanging out with my wife and kids and watching YouTube movies and stuff, and I've been reading a lot of books. I'm just saying, like, in other words, I like how it's viral. Like, sometimes you could spark one little sentence on like Twitter, and before you know it, it's got a bazillion hits, and there's a collective right there of thought on that particular subject, And I just think one of these days later that's going to happen with the right stuff, or just better stuff,
Yeah, and I believe we definitely are kind of at that, or at least been in it for a few years. That starting point of people just really pumping, the right kind of information, the right kind of knowledge that we need to be looking for, pumping that stuff out there and making it acceptable, comfortable to talk about. I think that's just the biggest thing right now. People have become comfortable to talk about these unusual things that have happened to them, these thoughts that they may, many people consider out of the box, esoteric, or even downright crazy. We have a little motto here that, we don't think outside of the box. We just burn the damn thing. Let's not put limitations on ourselves. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing people finally starting to open up to that in such a huge, scale. I mean, again, it's the Internet's back in this thing, because I can sit here and chat with somebody, in China, and it not cost me a dime, where 15 years ago I would have had to make a phone call, and it would have, cost me a couple $100 to be able to do that. So now we can share that information, and you start seeing that a mesh of cultures start happening, and those ideas that are similar within those cultures, people starting to connect through those things. And, I think as we see these cultures mesh and we see them finding their similarities, we're going to start seeing some kind of ultimate truth kind of form out of that.
Well,
hopefully.
I think that would be great. I don't know. I basically, like I said, I just hope in my lifetime that we get to see it. I mean, I'm older than you.
Yeah.
I'm 30. So I'm going to be 37 in a few weeks.
All right.
So,
Yeah, I hope so too, man. I would, again, I would love to see nothing in my lifetime to see war just stop, to see, people walk down the street and not be afraid, to do so. Because I just think that's awful. I really, really do. I love meeting people. I have no idea who they are.
Yeah, you know what? I've been taking like a personal sort of, I guess you could say for fun, daily personal count.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could say consensus. And basically I just try to count how many people I see smiling a day from when I wake up to when I go to bed. And it's a pretty low number considering the amount of people I see.
It is, isn't it? It's crazy.
You see, like maybe, I'd say I average like 3 to 5 people a day I see randomly smiling.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that kind of nuts?
Yeah. It is. And I mean, we're bogged down by so much crap and unnecessary crap, in my opinion. Unnecessary crap.
There's so many conspiracy theorists that say, we're trapped in the Matrix and blah, 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 blah. Like a metaphorical one, of course. But, it's, I don't know. But I think one thing I wanted to ask you is, as far as, because to me, you took you know, somewhat of a risk buying a magazine. Not well,
Mm-hmm.
you. I don't know. Not. Don't take it the wrong way. All I'm saying is that, like, what is your ultimate goal with it in the end? Like, do you plan on, like, in other words, a more direct question would be, do you plan on keeping, like, an archive, like, in, you know, like, to eventually have this big, huge pile of categorized and beautifully organized, like, library of mysteries that you've covered?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and you know, I definitely didn't take you the wrong way in terms of you know, risk, because we did take a risk. We bought a magazine, a print publication in the middle of, you know, a god awful recession, global recession. So it wasn't the smartest move we ever made, but it's working. But yeah, you know, I mean, you know, I guess for me, being a part of this, you know, having Mysteries Magazine, having our internet talk show, which, you know, we cover the same kind of stuff. You know, I want to see this information get out to people. I want to see them to just, you know, help people explore life and
open
find
their
out.
minds.
Yeah, open their minds and find out that, you know what, there is so much more to life than having to worry about the bills, having to worry about making it to work exactly at 9 o'clock. There's a lot more amazing things out there. And, you know, that's one of the reasons, I mean, yeah, we just made all of our PDFs from issue number 1 all the way to issue number 25, which is the one we just released. All our PDFs are 100% free. You can go download it. And that's one of the reasons why. We want people to be able to grab that information. Now, we still offer the print version, but there is a cost behind that, so we have to charge for it. And the cost is not cheap, so we have to make sure it's covered. But we try to bring our prices down. Yeah, and we've tried to bring our prices down to where, you know, listen, we're not out to become millionaires with this. Let me just put it that way. We're not out to make bukus of money. We just want to make sure that it can survive, that it can maintain itself, that, you know, whatever bills our company has can be paid. We can put a print version of the magazine out there. We can keep our websites up. And that's so we can continue to distribute this information, you know, and aid in where, you know, we have all these other people also doing the same thing. You know, in my opinion, I'm not in competition with anybody. The only person I'm in competition with is myself, and that's, you know
what,
my own creation.
I definitely got that vibe from your magazine, your website, that, you know, you're just doing your thing, that you don't, you know, you're just, you know, swimming in the same ocean.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm glad you picked up on that. I appreciate you pointing that out, because that's very important to me. You know, again, I'm you know, I want to make sure that we put out a quality magazine that has great information. And, you know, it was recently here, it was either I posted on the website or somewhere that, you know, I'm tired of hearing this, you know, especially from other magazines that kind of deal with the same things. Oh, we want to entertain you. You know what? I don't want to entertain you. If that's a byproduct of what I'm doing, great. But I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to provide some information. I believe in this stuff. I believe they are possible. So I don't see this as a form of entertainment. I don't want somebody to read a story we run on Bigfoot and say, wow, that was really entertaining. You know, now, you know, let me move on to watch, you know, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, because that's entertaining too. No. I want you to read that story and say, holy cow, that's just amazing that that's even possible. What else does that mean? What does that, if Bigfoot can be real, what's that say about UFOs? What's that say about astral projection? That's our goal, is to give thought-provoking information, not entertainment. If it entertains you, great. You know, that's wonderful too. But ultimately, I want to put information out there that means something, and that at least does some good to the world, right?
I agree. I mean, I've been doing my radio show for a while, and I just figured I'd try to make it entertaining, just for the sake of being able to plant the seed as well, you know. And but I think that sometimes you got to get down to the nitty-gritty of it too. And you know, I totally understand where you're coming from, and you know, and I don't think you took that big of a risk buying a magazine. I mean, I think it's awesome. I mean, that's been a dream. I wanted to start my own magazine, you know, when I was a teenager, and just for fun. I even when I got my first printer, I tried to. They ended up just becoming flyers, of course, in the end. But
yeah, well, that's
I
still
think
good
it's really
too.
cool.
Yeah, well, that's
But
the other.
to me, as long as it says, I'm sorry. You go.
No, well, I was just going to say, it was a dream of mine too, and I decided one day, screw it, I'm just going to do it. I even quit my job, a very well-paying job, to do this, in which I'll be honest with you, I'm lucky to pull $50 a month out of it for myself. But you know what? I'm perfectly fine with that because I love it. I have a huge passion for this. I do think it's important, and I think we put some information out there that, at least puts a little bit of good into the world in some form or fashion. And, all my goal is to keep that information being pumped out there while we can maintain what it takes to do so.
What do you think about the tabloids from like the Men in Black? You ever watch the movie Men in Black? And they were talking about like the tabloids, like the Sun, the Daily Sun, and those other weird. They don't cover Hollywood stars; they just cover the weird stuff.
Yeah. Well, let's not forget. That was that was Fox Mulder's. That's what he always turned to, was the tabloid, right? So it had to be something to it. No, I mean, I guess the tabloids are one of those ones where you really got to pay attention to it because they're going to run some stories just to sell some papers. But then again, it may be. Everybody has that opinion about them that, everything they publish is just so outrageous that it's not even true. Well,
what are your... I'm
mm-hmm.
sorry. I have actually... To me, it's kind of a big question. What type of stories do you plan on... Like, in other words, do you plan on doing some, like... I don't know if I can put this across eloquently or not, but are you going to be doing some Indiana Jones type stuff? You know what I mean? Where you're going to go on like missions and visit like distant remote places and like climb mountains and stuff, or are you just going to do some like internet research and you know what I mean? Like how deep is your magazine going to go when it comes to this stuff?
Well, it depends on quite a few things. Number one, we work a lot with freelance writers. So, we get stories where people actually did visit these places, did do the research, talk to people who were involved with whatever that story is about.
Or experienced it themselves.
Right, or experienced it themselves. But then we also have stories from people who did all the research from the comfort of their computer room, For me personally, it's a mix for me. There's times I get that opportunity to travel a little bit, and there's times that I can't, but I still want to write something about a story. So, I have to sit here and do a little bit of research, via the internet. We just recently, this past Sunday, yesterday, we just got back from the Tattoo Archive Museum. We went down there to talk to the guy about doing a story on him. We visited the museum. We're going to go back and do some video footage of this place, post it up on our websites. He's going to write an article for the magazine about the evolution of tattooing. We're going to. It's going to be a mix. We're going to travel, visit some of these places, and we're also going to have articles coming in from people who just do the research on it and never set foot in the location, which is fine. That's one of the perks of the internet. Is you necessarily don't have to travel to it to gain a lot of knowledge about it.
Right. Well, information is information, no matter how you get it.
Exactly.
But I don't know. I just wanted, I thought it was a good question, and to me, it would, it's if I could put in a request, I think that I would ask you to maybe like do one of the entrances to like the inner Earth or something, because there's one here in the States, supposedly, somewhere near like Atlanta or north of it, like somewhere along the Mississippi, a little east of it. They say there's like actual entrances, like but you'd be lucky you'd walk past it 100 times before you realize it was there. Stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
you know, we're
that'd be my request.
And that's would be a great story, and that's, you know, and let me put it out there to, you know, those who are listening to us right now and those who are going to catch your show in the archive, you know, we're looking for stories, and you know, again, we're you know, we cover a very diverse, wide range of topics, and we want to hear from people. You know, we want Mysteries Magazine and, you know, and what we do to become very community-based. We don't want to be the ones who are controlling it all. Now, of course, we're going to edit articles and stuff like that because it's got to be readable. It's got to be someone's got to be able to understand it for it to, you know, become effective. So, you know, but we want to hear these stories. We want to hear people's experiences. We want to hear, hey, you know, I went to one of the Mayan ruins, and this is what, you know, I felt, I seen, I got from it. We want to hear from the people who do the thorough research. We want to hear from the people who just have a very interesting theory. I'm a theory junkie. I love theories. So, you know, we want to hear from everybody, and we want to get these stories out there, you know, as much as we can.
Cool. Well, good luck to you. You know, I think everything looks great, and I think you're going to do just fine.
Well, I appreciate it. If you don't mind, you know, because on that note of people, you know, sharing stories with us, you know, and that can be done through our website. If you go to mysteriesmagazine.com, you know, not only can you download all of our PDFs for free, the full versions, you know, including the latest issue that we just put out, which is something we're going to continue to do. This isn't just some one-time shot we're trying to do to gain some publicity. We are going to continue to offer our PDFs for free. You can also submit those stories, submit articles to us. You know, let us know. If you're not sure if it might be a story that we would be interested in, just let us know about it. Drop us an email, say, hey, I have this story about such and such. You know, would this be something you would consider? We'll get back to you within a day or two and say, you know, yay or nay. You know, most times we accept most any story we get because, again, that's just us. We find everything fascinating. So that kind of backfires on us a little bit. But, yeah, it's mysteriesmagazine.com.
Cool. What's the readership been like so far?
It's been very good. You know, print-wise, we have a few thousand people who are subscribed to our magazine. Awesome. You know, now that we're offering the PDF download for free, of course, we're getting a lot of more people to read it because you don't have to pay to get this information. And, you know, to distribute it digitally, is the cost behind that is almost, you know, none at all. So it's easy to do, and to me, it's the right thing to do. It just makes sense.
Awesome. I agree. You know, I personally, for me, technically, really, this is all hobby. I mean, you know, I've had my own experiences, and I did my research, and you know, and I just got, I'm here basically to do my part and to, you know, share knowledge just like you.
Yeah.
At least to the best of my ability, anyway.
And that's all we can do. That's all we can do.
Yeah. A lot of people are always like, how you doing? You know, they're like, hey, how's it going? I just say, hey, I'm living life.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can
do. That's all we can do. Just live life to the fullest and the best that we can.
But listen, I know we're going to get cut off any minute from broadcasting because we only got a few minutes left. But before we do, I just want to say thanks for being on the show. And, you know, it was really great. And for the most part, it was unscripted.
You know, I do every show like that. I do not want the 10 questions. I do not want the 20 questions. We're going to shoot from the hip, and we're going to enjoy ourselves. So I really enjoyed the show tonight, and I really appreciate you having me on, and in very, very short notice on top of that.
Yeah. I figured why not be interesting, and got a magazine going, and it looked good. It does look good. I mean, it looks like a lot of thought went into the website and how you're presenting it, and it doesn't look like, you know, a big joke like a lot of the stuff that you find out there.
Right. We
do
take
go
it very
there
serious.
And it's really cool, And I definitely wish you the best of luck with it. And I'm definitely gonna read it. And that's pretty much it. Is there anything else you want to say to the people listening out there? And I also wanted to apologize to the chat room people that sorry I didn't pay attention. I'm just plain sorry. I have no excuse.
Hey, we were really into our discussion tonight. So, but no, I think I could go on for hours and hours. To be honest with you, I'm a talker. So, just check out our website. If anybody likes what's been said tonight, or wants to just come in and give us a little encouragement or some support, it's mysteriesmagazine.com. And from that website, you can check out everything else that we do, too. Like I said, I've got an internet radio talk show. It's Jeremiah Greer Live, JeremiahGreerLive.com. We've got, a web store, the whole 9 yards. So, just check it out, see what we got going on. And if, you like us, encourage us, support us, whatever you can do. Because it's tough out there, and we want to stay alive.
Just to be clear, you're embracing the entire scope of paranormal. Because today, when people say paranormal, they automatically associate it with just ghosts alone.
Yeah.
And you're embracing the entire scope of paranormal, where you're talking ghosts, UFOs, cryptozoology, and animals and creatures, and astral realms,
Yeah,
you're embracing the whole entire scope, right? Divination.
Yeah, all of it, and I would say even beyond that. Let me put it this way: we want to explore the human experience. That's what we do, and
gotcha.
So again, that includes so much stuff. So that's our ultimate goal: exploring the human experience.
Gotcha. And you just, as far as getting stories, do you work with leads and stuff? Or you just have, people just spontaneously come up with ideas and run with them, or?
Yeah, it's I joke around. Again, our company's name is Shadows Media. I say Shadows Media is made up of 1,000 ideas from 1,000 different people, and that is absolutely true. We love to hear people's ideas. I might be watching a documentary on TV and be like, wow, that was really cool, and then I'll sit down and I'll write something about it or do a little research on it. We get articles from people. We might see a news story that's interesting, and we want to look a little bit more into it. I mean, we're constantly doing something to put more and more information out there.
Awesome. Well, you know what? Like I said, everything looks great, and it was definitely a pleasure talking to you. And I think that's about it. I think we covered it all. And if you ever need anything from me, just shoot me an email, man.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate you having me on the show, man. It was a lot of fun.
Hey, definitely. And, and, like I said, if you ever need me for anything, just shoot me an email, and I'll help you any way I can. And definitely thanks for being on the show. I definitely appreciate it. And as soon as we're finished, this show will be available for download, I'd say within not even a half hour, maybe even 10 minutes. It'll be available for download.
Awesome. And I appreciate it very much.
Oh, one last question, Jared. Jeremiah.
Yeah, sure. You call me Jer. Everybody calls me Jer.
Okay, but I still like Jeremiah.
Either way. I'll accept either way.
Anyway,
as long as
all right, your last name is Greer, right?
Yeah.
I'm not hallucinating, right? It's Greer?
Right, it's
Greer. Are you related
to
Stephen Greer?
Not that I know of. And it's funny because he is based only 30 minutes away from me. He's based in Asheville, North Carolina, which is I live just west of Asheville. But as far as I know, no, there's not any relationship there.
Yeah, you know what? That was the first question I want to ask you, and I'm asking you at the very end of the show.
That's how it happens, man. That's just life doing its thing. Yeah, no, not that I know of. There could be, but I've never researched it out, and I've tried to contact him for an interview and stuff. He never answers me, so it could be that I could be family. He just don't want to talk to me. I don't know. So who knows?
All right. Well, anyway, Jeremiah, it was great having you on the show. I definitely thank you and much appreciate it. And yeah, hopefully we'll talk again soon. And I'm doing another show on November 13th with the author of somebody who did doing I guess a research study kind of book about George Adamski, one of the first UFO contactee people to write a book about their experience. And
right.
I'm doing an interview on November 13th for that. And that's pretty much it right now, as I know. I might do another show with Aaron McCullum again because he's got one of the most intense experiences I ever heard in my life of the stuff that he's gone through.
Right. Yeah, man, I think that would be a good show.
Yeah. If you listen to the last one, it's pretty wild. The whole Black Ops thing, and them sending them on 007 type missions through time and space. It's pretty sick.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for being on the show again. I appreciate it, and that's pretty much it.
All right, man. Thanks. I appreciate it. And have a wonderful night.
You too, man. Thank you very much.
All right.
And good luck again with your magazine and everything. I would definitely be reading it.
Cool. I appreciate that, man.
Okay. Have a great night. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.